Thank you to Sophie and the team in Washington. Hi there, coming up on BBC London this Monday evening. Decades of decay. We find out how many years patients may have to wait for the capital's crumbling hospitals to be rebuilt.
I'm extremely disappointed to hear about the further delay for the new build, and this is devastating news for our patients.
Also ahead tonight. Could this catch on in the capital? We head to the London Borough with electric buggies on its streets to find out more. Plus, winter wellness. We check out the free sessions helping some Londoners beat the blues this January. And
don't come round here with your low vibrations. Got a WhatsApp pin location. One of them single, one of them's taken.
how South London's Crepton Conan are branching out from rap to retail. A very warm welcome to the programme. It's not the news patients in the capital will want to hear. Some of London's crumbling hospitals will have to wait more than a decade before they start to be rebuilt. Today, the government announced a new timetable for construction, saying it's more realistic than the one set out by the previous government. While work at Hillingdon could begin in the next 5 years, building at St Mary's in Paddington might not start until 2035, which hospital bosses have described as devastating. Here's our health correspondent, Carl Mercer.
This is the state of much of the estate in London's NHS. Buildings built before the health service was even set up, crumbling and in need of repair or rebuilding. The sort of conditions like here at St Mary's in Paddington and here at St Helier in Carshalton that the previous government promised to address with its new hospital programme, with a pledge to build 40 new sites by 2030.
Yeah, the space issue around transporting patients on and off the ward is apparent. The lift here, as you can see, is small.
Here at St Mary's in Paddington, staff are still working in cramped wards.
Staff deserve a place that's fit for purpose to deliver high quality care to patients, and patients deserve a space to be cared for in that's purpose built.
So this is our new reception area, waiting area, which is double the size of the one previously.
Here they've taken crumbs of comfort in squeezing a new urgent treatment centre into what used to be a temporary building.
If I'm completely honest, we were already running out of space. We can't store all the stock that we need to store. We quite frequently still have a waiting area that's full because of the pressures that come through. But I don't want to seem ungrateful for what has been done because it's made a huge difference to the team.
During last year's election, Wes Streeting, who's now Health Secretary, visited St Mary's with promises about which London hospitals he planned to rebuild.
Well, it's St Mary's, it's Hillingdon. Sorry, I'm just Charing Cross, Hillingdon, and Whipps Cross, which are my local hospitals.
Today, following a 6-month review, he announced a new timetable for when the rebuilding will start. Hillingdon will begin sometime between 2025 and 2030, but the new hospitals at Whipps Cross and St Helier won't start until between 2030 and 2035.
Many parts of our estate are already crumbling. We've already had to condemn and demolish one of our ward blocks. We know we've got lots of challenges in many other areas of the hospital, and we're deeply concerned and now are going to have to prepare for the catastrophic failure of our estate. If the Secretary of State feels that we can continue to deliver high quality patient care for the next 10 years in these buildings, we're very happy to invite him to come and inspect it himself.
There'll be an even longer wait for St Mary's, not set to start work until between 2035 and 2039, something hospital bosses there tonight described as devastating news.
I know patients in some parts of the country will be disappointed by this new timetable. They are right to be. They were led up the garden path by 3 Conservative Prime Ministers, all promising hospitals with no credible plan for funding to deliver them.
For those who lost out today, there may be tough decisions ahead. Carl Mercer, BBC London.
Lovely to have you with us. Plenty more to come before 7, including getting caught short in the capital, the call for more public loos after a decline in London over the past decade. fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas is now in its second day. Closer to home, London's Palestinian and Israeli communities have been giving their reaction and reflecting on its impact on them. We've revisited two Londoners who we spoke to on the first anniversary of the October attacks. They've given us their personal views on the ceasefire and their hopes for the future.
When I finally heard that there is a ceasefire deal, it was a huge relief, and I'm celebrating this ceasefire. Of course, I'm not celebrating the death of my family or the death of my people, but I'm celebrating the end of the murder of my people.
It's amazing that we finally have a stop in the killing and the fighting. Tremendous relief. Also very sad, because I think we could have had it a long time ago. But at least now it's here, and we need to work hard to make sure that it's ongoing.
The vast majority of my family members were slaughtered while they were sleeping in their bed. My father, my brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews, my home, which I was grown up in. I lost that. I lost many friends.
Both my parents were murdered by Hamas terrorists who infiltrated their village on the border with Gaza. It's been the most terrible day in my life, and it's been quite a horrible year and a half since.
I have been feeling a huge sense of survivor's guilt. I've always, lashed myself. Why did I survive? Why is it only me who survived this bombardment? But I am privileged to be living here in the UK, in London, where I have the luxury of speaking up.
As a family, decided to dedicate our efforts in order to stop the war, stop the killing in Gaza, bring the hostages back, and even further on, look at how do we prevent the next war.
I don't think it is the right time that we talk about building bridges and cooperation with Israel at a time where the Palestinian people are still suffering the consequences of the Israeli actions on them. But I am telling you, I assure you that the Palestinian people are not the people who are filled with hate and grudge and who want to revenge. The Palestinian people are just calling for the end of the injustice that has been brought against them.
There is no win-lose situation. There is no case in which one side wins and the other loses. It's either a lose-lose, which is what we've been having, or a win-win. And this is what we should work for. There's only one solution for the 7 million Palestinians, 7 million Jewish Israelis between the river and the sea, and that solution is peace. And if we work together, we can make it happen.
And I hope that one day, more reasonable people from Israel would rise up and speak the language of logic and peace. And when we have these people again, I think the Palestinian people would be happy to talk.
That was Ahmed and Magan with their personal views on the second day of the ceasefire. Meanwhile, thousands of people took part in a pro-Palestinian rally in London on Saturday. With the latest on that, our political reporter Susana Mendonça joins me. Tell us more.
Yeah, so 12 people have been charged in connection with that protest. We understand that 25 have been bailed, 48 remain in custody at present. Among those who've been questioned are the former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn and the former Chancellor John McDonnell, who both sit as independent London MPs now. Now, they agreed to be interviewed under caution. We understand that they have been released pending further investigations. But this whole issue has raised questions among some about whether or not police may have been too heavy-handed in their approach. The Palestinian Solidarity Campaign have called it an assault on the right to protest. Now, the Met have said that they were trying to look into whether or not demonstrators had breached conditions that were in place in order to keep protesters away from a synagogue near Broadcasting House. And so I think the challenge here really is that balancing the right to protest with the right of people from the Jewish community to feel safe when they come into central London.
And Susanna, this all comes as US President Donald Trump, as we've seen today, begins his second term. He's previously criticised London's mayor. How do you see the relationship going forward?
Well, I don't think they're going to suddenly start getting along, but certainly in the conversations that we've had with Sadiq Khan, there's been a bit of a change of tone, really, in some, not all of what he said, a slightly more conciliatory approach. Now, if we look back at the last time that Donald Trump was president, there was a war of words between the two men. We know that there was at one point Donald Trump described Sadiq Khan as a stone-cold loser who should focus on crime in London. The mayor described Mr. Trump at the time as a poster boy for racists around the world. But there's a Labour government now, and we know that that Labour government wants to have a better relationship with Donald Trump, and they need to improve relations, not least among cabinet members who've said things about Donald Trump that are pretty critical as well. I think it's important not to overstate the importance of the Mayor of London's role in that, but certainly in what he said to us, it does seem a bit more conciliatory. He was saying when we spoke to him that he recognised that Donald Trump was the elected president, but clearly there's still a sense of scepticism.
I'm hoping that he is a president that, understands the responsibility that being the leader of not just America, but the free world brings with it. Of course, I want to work closely with the American president. Let's keep our fingers crossed. This president's different from the last time he was president.
Now, the mayor's been accused, though, of mixed messaging because he also wrote an opinion piece at the weekend talking about the march of the far right. In that, he mentioned Donald Trump. That sparked some criticism, and it sparked this reaction from the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, Darren Jones.
This is something your colleague Sadiq Khan, the London mayor, has said. He's told the Observer newspaper he's worried about fascism and the march of the right. Now, that is aimed pretty directly at Donald Trump. Is he wrong?
Yes, and I don't agree with that. President-elect Trump won an enormous election victory in the United States. As a democracy, we support democracy, and the American people elected Donald Trump and the Republican Party.
Now, I asked someone close to the mayor whether there was any discord between Sadiq Khan and the Labour government with regards to this relationship with Donald Trump, and I was told that there's a recognition that the mayor and the government have different roles when it comes to dealing with the US president. But just today there was a Labour whip who was asked about this in Parliament, and that Labour whip said a period of silence would be most welcome. He was referring to the mayor there. I think that will depend on whether or not there's a period of silence from Donald Trump in return.
And I know, Susanna, you will be watching this closely for us. Thank you very much. Our political reporter, Susanna Mendonça. And of course, there is plenty more reaction and in-depth analysis from the BBC's correspondents in Washington on today's inauguration of President Donald Trump, as well as the latest on the Israel-Hamas ceasefire. That's on the BBC News website and, of course, via the BBC News app. OK, let me bring you a roundup of some of the day's other stories now. A court's heard that Kellyan Bokassa, the 14-year-old who was fatally stabbed on a bus in Woolwich, was attacked by two people, both armed with lengthy machetes. Two teenage boys, aged 15 and 16, charged with murder, were remanded into custody after appearing at the Old Bailey. The Solicitor General has decided to appeal against the sentence passed on Sara Sharif's father as unduly lenient, referring it to the Court of Appeal. Urfan Sharif was sentenced to life following a trial at the Old Bailey last year, with a minimum of 40 years behind bars before he can be considered for parole. And a Surrey theatre with critical risk concrete in its structure could take up to 5 years to reopen, a council says. Red Hills Harlequin Theatre has been closed since September 2023, when rack concrete was discovered in the building. It could potentially remain closed until 2030. Next, getting people out of cars and choosing lower polluting, greener options to help ease congestion has been the direction of travel, especially here in the capital. We've got e-bike and e-scooter hire available already. But in one London borough, there are now electric buggies for hire that you can park for free. Could they catch on? Our transport correspondent Tom Edwards went to find out more.
This is a neighbourhood electric vehicle. Klenda is a big fan of these electric buggies. There are 10 of them at the moment in Fulham. They're available to hire via an app. They cost 20p a minute. She uses them to ferry her children around and to do the shopping.
First of all, I think they're really fun. They are very affordable. They are convenient. It's very easy to book one. And the thing I find very convenient is parking. Hammersmith Fulham has got issues when it comes to parking. A lot of people drive, and with a YoGo City buggy, it's very easy to find a parking spot anywhere.
Some cities are trying to embrace electric hire vehicles. Electric bikes are popular in London, although where they're left can annoy other pavement users. And e-scooter trials in the capital are ongoing. This scheme will soon be expanded to 50 buggies, and the local council has given them free parking.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to create a different mode of transport, a mode of transport that is more affordable for people to drive a low-emission vehicle, so an electric vehicle, and a vehicle that makes the streets more pleasant and safer for other road users. So for cyclists and for pedestrians, we want a vehicle that they feel safe interacting with. And what we're also trying to do is reduce congestion, so by making the vehicle smaller, the traffic flows better, there's less constraints on parking, and that benefits everyone in the city.
This is a small start-up company, but it's already looking to expand and thinks it could offer a solution to urban transport. Tom Edwards, BBC London.
Now, a question for you. When you're out and about in London these days, how easy is it to find a public loo? Many over the years have been turned into quirky cafes or nightclubs. And the charity Age UK says there's been a worrying decline here in London over the past decade. Gemma O'Reilly has more.
Flushing the toilet, a right we all have. But in some areas of London, this isn't as easy as it looks. A study by Age UK London has shown that in the last 10 years, 3 times as many public toilets have been closed than those that have been opened. And this impacts everyone differently.
I don't leave the house unless I know where the nearest toilet is going to be. I don't think you can understand what that's like until you've walked a day in the shoes of that. It's very easy for people who are healthy to think like, oh, you know, it's just a toilet. It's just a toilet. I can use a toilet at home or I can use a toilet in an office. But when you live with a bowel condition or a stoma bag, you could need a toilet at any point in time if you're just walking down the street or getting on a tube.
Age UK is campaigning for urgent action to increase the amount of public toilets.
What we found is really worrying. So over half of all local authorities in London haven't opened a single new toilet in the past 10 years. Some councils in London that have just one public toilet for the whole of their borough. And something else that we found is a lot of councils are not totally on top of how much money they've been spending on toilets, and it's affecting such a huge number of people with health conditions, older people, disabled Londoners, pregnant women, people with young families. We're all human, so we all benefit from more public toilets.
We're looking at a number of sites in Soho which were identified in a Soho Neighbourhood Forum report about the need for more public toilets in the area. And we think there's opportunities to create more toilets in the area, and we're just doing the research and investigations at the moment.
That is true, but we've found in many of these public toilets, you have to pay.
I always have to plan my routes where there are supermarkets, because those are probably the only places left that you can go in, not have to buy something and be able to use a toilet, which is an absolute disgrace. There should be public toilets for people such as myself. It is an actual toilet poverty that we're facing right now, and it's impacting so many people.
Gem O'Reilly, BBC London.
Now to British rap duo Krept and Konan. Probably best known, I think it's fair to say, for their hits and awards, so you wouldn't necessarily associate them with food shopping. But now they're branching out from rap to retail in their hometown of Croydon, with a supermarket that they say has a special focus on the needs of the local community. Our reporter Greg Mackenzie has the story.
The Croydon-based rap duo Krept and Konan rose to prominence back in 2013 with their debut album, Young Kings. They've gone on to win numerous awards, including a MOBO and a British Empire Medal for their contributions to music and the community.
Need your seasonings and that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. We've got to season it up.
Today, the pair are set to enter the world of supermarkets with the creation of what they claim is the first black-owned supermarket in Croydon, where both are from.
Man, I'm from Fulton Heath, so this is my hometown, so we always like to start things where we grew up, you know what I'm saying, giving back to the community, Croydon, just as a whole, man, like it's good to build the foundation where you started the foundation.
The men come from humble beginnings and are now role models in their local community.
Keep going. And the reason why I say keep going is because 15 years ago there was situations that, you know, we could never have imagined getting out of. And, you know, if we knew that someone said, keep going, it's all going to be fine, and, you know, you're going to work your way out of these situations, that would, you know, that would make the most difference, you know, to a 15-year-old ago me. Do you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, it's basically echo what Crep's saying, just have faith, believe in yourself, believe in your dream.
The duo hopes that the store will set a new benchmark for inclusivity in UK retail for communities that they claim have been neglected by traditional grocery chains, but say they won't be competing with independent shops. The Office of National Statistics has estimated that in 2021, around 12% of UK self-employed business owners identify as being from a minority ethnic group. Of these, just 2.1% are from the black community. The store here employs more than 30 staff.
I know you're successful businessmen in different areas with the baby range and your own clothing label and all sorts. So I guess the world is your oyster.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. This is just another stepping stone, and just we like to get involved in businesses that solve problems and give back to the community, and yeah, just be a part of a bigger cause, man. So yeah, definitely, this is just one for the books for us.
Yeah, no, definitely. To echo what Conan said, you know, everything that we do and want to get involved in, it has to, you know, really impact the community in a positive way, and this is just one of those ones.
And the store opens its doors to the public next month. Greg McKenzie, BBC London.
Now, how are you feeling today? I hope this lifts your spirits a bit, because we know this time of year, coldest, darkest months can be challenging on our mental health. Today's even dubbed Blue Monday. And I don't know about you, but January can feel like it goes on forever. Well, Wendy Hurrell has been to see how some women in South London are boosting their winter wellness.
On top of the daily stresses and strains, this month often feels like it's about 7 weeks long, and we've had about half the average amount of sunshine so far this winter. So it's little wonder that some of us at this time of year get a case of the blues. But here in Wallington, in Sutton, they're doing something to beat that.
Ready, let's go, everybody!
With some movement at the Phoenix Centre, an Afrocentric dance class, part of a free wellness session for women.
We think that encouraging women to be more active and unite together over activities such as this, we can have an enormous impact on physical health and well-being and mental health. And lots of laughter today. That's been one of the things that we've seen a lot today.
This is a collaboration with local social enterprise She Is You, which aims to empower women and girls.
You can just feel the endorphins flowing off these people now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Something about movement just really helps just to kind of lift your spirits, whether it's dance, whether it's going for a walk. But today we just focused on dance and just getting our whole body just to kind of be present, you know, and just really enjoy the vibe, enjoy the music, and just kind of, just shift the blues away.
Within the session there are free health checks and wellness advice.
And chop, rock.
And everyone appears to feel much better.
When they started dancing, it's really good feeling. Lots of energy I feel now.
It's been a joy, an absolute joy. So I'm going out.
Take on the world.
Play football with my grandsons now.
But yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Good mood now.
Step in, out.
The plan is to offer more of these free events, even as the days get longer and hopefully brighter. Wendy Hurrell, BBC London.
Let's see if the weather can help with our winter wellness, because with that, it is time for a check on the weather with Kate. And this week has kind of started off damp and chilly.
Yes, not really spirit lifting at all, has it been today? Not really. The sunset was lovely, however. I'll get to that in a moment. Now, yes, today's weather, it has been quite chilly. It was certainly quite a damp start first thing this morning. You can see from our Weather Watchers pictures at Euston, that commute in, there was some fairly persistent drizzle for a time. It did gradually start to clear and the cloud broke up a little, which led to this. Now, this is the sunset I was talking about earlier. Absolutely stunning view from Chingford earlier on today, just beautiful. So as we head into this evening and overnight, the cloud that we had this morning continues to break. That's the rain earlier clearing away north and eastwards. We are left with a bit of a legacy of cloud, but as we head into the evening, it breaks a little. Now, under these clearer spells overnight tonight, the temperature is going to drop. It's going to be quite chilly, chillier than last night. The minimum temperature away from central London below zero around -1. So I could get a frost in the morning, but also with those clear spells, we could get some mist and fog patches forming too. And if we get those, they're going to linger into the first part of Tuesday, taking their time to lift. But we should get some bright spells, at least in the morning, some glimpses of sunshine. We did this morning too. Now, the cloud is going to increase through Tuesday. However, the wind's still light. It will become grey, but staying dry tomorrow. Temperatures similar to today, between 4 and 6 Celsius. Now, as we head into Tuesday evening and overnight, again, that cloud is still going to stay with us. It stays very similar through the first part at least, but as we head through the early hours of the morning, we start to see the influence of low pressure, which we've not had for a while, and that's going to bring some spells of rain, some showers. Minimum temperature just above zero, thanks to that cloud coming up from the south, between 1 and 3 Celsius, the minimum temperature. Now, that rain on Wednesday is actually courtesy of this low pressure here and this warm front. It's pushing it up towards us. It's not going to last all day, so that rain will be with us first thing tomorrow morning, but it will gradually start, Wednesday morning rather, it will slowly start to clear. A drier Wednesday afternoon. Temperature again similar, staying pretty chilly, single figures at around 6 Celsius. Now, things get interesting and more unsettled for Thursday. The wind strengthens, a spell of rain. But then Friday, this very deep area of low pressure moves towards the north of Scotland, bringing a spell of heavy, wet and windy weather. The wind will completely start to strengthen, so it is going to be quite a disruptive end to the week. Riz.
Oh, goodness. OK, Kate, thanks very much. Before we go, a quick reminder of the main news. The 47th President of the United States, Donald Trump, has been sworn in. He said the golden age of America had begun. The inauguration took place inside the Capitol building for the first time in 40 years after bitterly cold weather was forecast in Washington. And here in our capital, some of London's crumbling hospitals will have to wait more than a decade before being rebuilt. The government's new timetable for construction has been described by hospital bosses as devastating. And that is where we leave you, so thanks very much for watching. There is, of course, more coverage of President Donald Trump's inauguration and reaction continuing on the BBC News channel and the BBC News app. Plenty of stories on our website, Facebook and Instagram. Just search BBC London. And if you're a fan of Call the Midwife, check out the BBC London documentary, The Real Midwives of Poplar, where the hit BBC drama is set. It's on iPlayer now and a lovely watch. From all of us on the team here, do have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.